Hello, this is Dr. August Dunning, and I do these interesting little beach walks talking about dry fasting. And today it's Welcome to Dry Fasting Part 2. Why it is you really want to consider dry fasting as opposed to any other kind of fasting. I guess what's really interesting is that when you start a dry fast, you've got your normal amount of glycogen and all the stuff you usually have every day for about 12 hours. And then it starts to wear out a little bit. The key to this is that about hour 14 and hour 16, some really interesting hormonal changes happen because of the reduction in insulin to the point where growth hormone is released. Growth hormone is not to just build muscles. In a dry fast, you're not feeding the muscles to be able to replicate. So what it does instead is it mobilizes fat. It tells the body to start using muscles to activate fat. The body knows how to go into these things correctly. The fact that when you don't eat and don't drink, just like sleep, you end up activating growth hormone because growth hormone is there to protect your muscles. It's there to protect skeletal muscle mass. And that's why it is so increased at about that time. What's really interesting is at about hour 18, growth hormone goes up significantly, autophagy begins significantly, and brain-derived neurotropics become produced by the brain to start rewiring the brain. So all before you even get into the dry fast itself, as you prepare for getting into this position, your body knows what to do. Your body is saying, okay, we're running out of glycogen. We better get the fat going to the muscles because we're going to have problems with the heart, which is a muscle and needs, food for its mitochondria to beat. So the body knows what to do. When you finally get into ketosis and you turn on the MuSAT stem cells immediately, they go into the vascular system, they repair the vascular wall because they can differentiate into any kind of cell. These are pluripotent stem cells, so wherever they're needed, they just turn into that cell. Your main stem cells go into interphase so that they get repaired. This is a phase where the genetics untwist, the helixes untwist, the repair enzymes come in and repair any kind of damage, code violations, replacing primes, all that kind of good stuff. But what really starts happening is because you're protecting your muscle, you're able to go into these fasts and not lose body mass. Body mass is a critical thing. If you look at this 2018 study by Brown University, water fasting causes this much reduction in physical body mass and skeletal muscle over days. You're losing parts, man. That's not good because the way that works is if you have the hydration, the pituitary isn't instructed to do its work, to turn all these things on. When you're dry fasting, you're dehydrated. What happens in the pituitary is that when blood gets thick enough, when the blood solids build up enough, osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus are stimulated. These are stimulated to produce antidiuretic hormone out of the pituitary gland, and that the antidiuretic hormone is designed to stop the peeing, stop the water loss. It also stops sweating. It also constricts your blood vessels so you get better blood pressure during this period. But what it really does is it hits the renal medulla and it releases epinephrine. Epinephrine goes into the bloodstream, goes into the clusters of fat cells, goes into the fat cells, knocks on the door of glucagon, and turns on lipase to cleave triglycerides back into glycerol and free fatty acids, which is the critical thing about this. If you've got glycerol for the liver to make plasma glucose and free fatty acids coming out of the fat cells like crazy, then you've got your ketones. You've got your free fatty acids to run the ATP production in the mitochondria. You have the plasma glucose from the glycerol going into the liver, making your plasma glucose. And the reason that's important is because your liver and your brain live on sugar. So you have to have plasma glucose. Water fasting, on the other hand, doesn't stimulate this series of secretions, and instead there is a weak lipolysis action to basically make ketones, and your muscles are being ground up, you can see in the image on the right, to make ketogenic amino acids like alanine. Meanwhile, your muscles are being digested to make any kind of sugars for your liver to make plasma glucose. It's really hard on the body. During all this time, a lot of people have problems sleeping. And why is that? Well, cortisol wakes you up in the morning, and because you're in a state of metabolic sleep, it keeps trying to wake you up. So your cortisol goes up. But that's okay, because high cortisol would normally cause visceral fat formation, but you don't have any sugar in the system or insulin to be able to deposit the fat in visceral fat, so even that's kind of protected. You know, dry fasting is so interesting because it protects the body during the dry fast. It knows what to do if you know how to do it correctly. And this is why I like dry fasting so much. It's easy to do the 3 days in the hard part of it, which are when you're in ketosis, or 5 if you do a 7-day dry fast. It's just so much easier than you really built up in your mind about this idea. You know, there's so many phony ideas about not being able to drink water for 3 days and you'll die. Well, your body makes water every day when it makes ATP. You know, water fasting is not water fasting, it's water diet. It's a very poor source of nutrition during however many days or weeks you try to do these things. Whereas dry fasting is fast, it's easy, it's simple. You go into it, you stop eating for 5 to 7 days, you end up recovering from it and reestablishing your electrolytes, and everything is just fine. It's not this laborious, achy, headachy water fast experience. I mean, you can do what you like. You know, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm telling you what dry fasting is all about and why I prefer it, why I've been doing it for the past 8 or 9 years, why it is I am able to walk these beaches at this age and deal with all this stuff. So look, I'm saying, you might consider dry fasting for all the above reasons. It protects your muscles, it gets rid of the fat, because you will lose 5 to 18 pounds of fat depending on if you do a 5 or a 7-day dry fast, because it's taking off subcutaneous fat. If you're too thin, eat some bread and butter for a week or two. You'll get some fat on you. And you'll use that during a dry fast to keep yourself going, because that's how your body's designed. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, look, that's it for today. Stay tuned for part 3. And God, it is so beautiful. Anyway, I will see you later.
Yes?
We have a message. Can you remind people to subscribe, please, sir?
What now?
Please.
Oh, very well.